keep everybody hung up on a Friday night. I apologize for the time of the meeting. It's a busy time of the year for everyone, and I wanted it to be a free night. So this is what we found available. Just to get started, my name is Matt Meandro. I am going to be the project manager for the proposed recreational dispensary at 198 Main Street, known kind of locally as the Flying Church Project here. This is Maggie Bona and Lizzie Barnhill. They are going to be the two owners of the company going forward. Maggie is Lizzie's niece, and they are really excited to kind of bring this kind of home and keep it as a real family business going forward. It's something they've kind of dreamed of ever since recreational came about, and we're excited to maybe bring it to town. So, just getting started, just kind of a little about who we are. Area 4 and 3 is a grassroots endeavor. You know, this is something that, like I said, has been a dream of Maggie's, and her family is really helping to bring it into existence, along with myself. We've been members of the Berkshire community for a long time. I grew up in Pittsfield myself. I went to Sacred Heart, St. Mark's, and then on to DeConnick. I left to go to school, and then I came back to the area to start working and try to make a go of it here in our local community. Maggie went to Monument Mountain, graduated about 5 or 6 years ago now, right? Yeah. And she's been, same thing, working in a local community. She helps take care of her mother, who is a disabled member of her community, and so she always has that in mind going forward when we're working in this type of project.
Could you give last names again?
Certainly. My name is Matthew Meandro, M-E-A-N-D-R-O, and this is Maggie Bona.
Bona.
Yes, yeah. And her aunt Lizzie Barnhill. So let's just here.
Is that L-I-Z-Z-I-E?
No, it's Elizabeth.
It's Elizabeth.
Okay.
So your last name is Barna.
Barnhill.
Like a barn on a
Barnhill.
hill.
Yep.
Like a
Yes.
barn on a hill.
Barnhill, all, okay.
All right,
All
so-
Elizabeth Barnhill.
Okay.
I go by Lizzie for family.
And you
Yes.
go by Maggie.
Yes,
That
She
is
is
her-
Maggie. That is
Maggie is
her
her full
name.
name. Yes.
M-A-G-G-I-E.
Yes.
Bona from Eagleton.
No.
No, you're second person to ask that tonight. No, actually a different
Not
different
Bona
family.
from Eagleton.
Yes.
No.
No.
Bona
No,
from
Bonus.
Stockbridge.
Bona from Stockbridge.
Stockbridge and Lakeland, right?
Great Barrington.
Great Barrington, Stockbridge, Interlaken, yeah.
All
I
right.
was Bona from Stockbridge, now I'm Barnhill.
All right. So, just kind of continuing on. Just want to kind of give you a general breakdown of what we're about. Some of the concerns you may have with our business in the downtown area and in your immediate vicinity if you're in a butter. So really, our goal. Let me get to my notes here. Our goal is simple, and we believe unique amongst our peers. To take our experience and excitement for responsible recreational cannabis consumption and couple it with an understanding of our local community that will be unrivaled. Our aim is to source only the finest quality products from growers and producers all over the state. We hope to bring the ever-expanding array of products from all over the Commonwealth to customers at the most reasonable price possible. That's another big point for us. We at Area 4 and 3 do not see the dispensary as an investment with a return clock. The ownership and management team were raised here and grew up here. We plan on Area 4 and 3 becoming a staple in our unique community in the years to come. And like all of your favorite shops in GB, you always find someone from our family behind the counter. That's a big thing for us. Maggie and I just recently took over ownership of Shire Glass, which is the smoke shop and gift shop on Railroad Street. We've been managing it for the past couple of years. So we really want to take the experience we've gained in respect to doing that and apply it to, actually the sale of cannabis. And like I said, that's something that people have come to expect out of us in the business we've run so far has been, that intimate relationship that who you're dealing with, where they stand, and you really trust that person that you're, purchasing this from. So a little bit about our proposed location. I'm sure many of you are aware of it. It's kind of a very large happening in downtown Great Barrington right now. The Flying Church Project at 198 Main Street. It is nearing completion. Paul Joffe hopes to have it wrapped up here by the end of the year, which will correspond with our tentative timetable potentially opening up. The proposed use of the property conforms with current zoning. We're located in zoning section B2, so we don't need a special variance. and it also complies with the 200-foot buffer zone as prescribed by the town from any existing private or public school. We will also work closely with the town going forward if anything else arises as far as any ancillary or individual issues that might come up with the opening up at our location. And then just so you guys get an idea of where we're going to be, this is a floor plan of the first floor of the Flying Church project. If you see here, you can see the north side of the building, which would face the Prairie Well and towards Cumberland Farms. And then you see here on the right side, this would be the Main Street face of the building. So we would occupy the rearmost unit, Unit 4, on the first floor of the building. And just a little bit more detail about our space there. We have, it's a complete refurbishment project from the top up. As I'm sure many of you see, Paul has really gone all out in the restoration of the project. It's a beautiful building. And he's also kind of given us the ability to move into a semi-finished space, which is to our advantage in outfitting our space to the security requirements for that will satisfy both the Cannabis Commission and the town. The unit is approximately 1,000 square feet, which gives us ample room to have the adequate floor space we need for our retail, and at the same time to have the adequate backspace for product storage and for proper personnel space in the back. As you can see here, these are a couple pictures of the Flying Church. This is kind of the front of the unit here on the bottom. The top picture on the left there, you'll see that is actually the front to Unit 4. It will just have those two exterior windows, and then that plywood area will be the main door. The only alterations we will make to the exterior of the building will be the addition of a sign, which will be fitting in the aesthetic of the Flying Church, and will also only be lit during business hours, so it's not like we're going to have some big obnoxious sign going at odd hours of the night.
What are the business hours?
That is yet to be determined. Likely it'll be somewhere from 9 to 7, maybe potentially a little bit later to 8 o'clock, something like that on the weekends, Friday, Saturday. But other than that, it'll be within the confines of what's been prescribed by the state and the town. Absolutely. This is a little bit more about, I might have already mentioned some of this. Excuse me 1 second. I'm going through the allergy bout a lot of people are going through right now. So just a couple more things about the building and the space in general. The building and supporting infrastructure offer a dedicated parking lot and extensive on-property walkways, which we hope will handle any foot traffic and vehicle traffic that we incur, during opening and initial operation. It's that's one thing to note, especially at this point in the industry, as the industry is so limited. A lot of the places that are open are seeing exceedingly high volume because the market is just kind of so concentrated in those locations. As time passes, I know there are several other endeavors trying to go into Great Barrington, and as it diffuses about the county, the huge rush and lines of people will ease as the years go by. And in our timetable, potentially opening up, realistically in the next 8 to 12 months, a lot of that initial kind of rush could already be subsiding. And we hope will be, but however, if it does not, we will work with the local law enforcement, any abutters or anything like that, if anything does come up as far as, unwanted volume or anything like that.
Where is the parking lot located?
The parking lot.
Very well side?
No,
it
it's
Rossiter?
so when you turn down Rossiter.
I live on Rossiter.
Yeah. Wait, do you guys always sit out?
Yeah.
front of your house?
The house next to it.
Gotcha. Okay, that's me always riding by on the tricycle.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. I don't get too much about it. Yes. No. So the parking lot is, where he just put up the small kiosk on the corner
Yeah.
that says 2020 on the back of it.
Mhm.
There's that whole area in there is going to be a parking lot with approximately 22 parking spots.
He is also going to be working with Prairie Well, and they are going to allow the Flying Church to use Prairie Well's parking as well.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So that is something that will be discussed.
So where, excuse me, but
Sure.
where they're putting all the dirt,
Yeah.
they got the big
That-
field, that's not going to
Oh, I don't know what he's doing with that. That's just, to be honest, I don't even know. Does Paul own that lot as well?
Yes.
Oh, he does. Okay. I have no idea what Paul has plans for that. All I know is that the only thing he's confirmed to me is that he has the 22 spots that are going to be located in between the kiosk and the walkway bridge there. Yeah. And then the nice thing about where we're fronting, we have, you know, most of the time we will have someone out front checking IDs, receiving people. So if anyone really tries to pull into any of marked spots or anything, or pulls into that area, we'll have a very vigilant eye on, you know, just those people, and also we'll have relevant signage as well to, you know, really deter people from getting in where they shouldn't be. I know that's been a problem, a concern rather, for some of the businesses surrounding Theory. I know you've seen some fences go up and stuff like that. But like I said, I think in my earnest opinion, you know, industry experience is certainly asymmetrical at this point. I was schooled an attorney. I did not practice, but that is my educational background. And then I do have a lot of you know, quote unquote industry experience working in some dispensaries out west and stuff like that, grasping just what it entails. And in my educated opinion, I would say, you know, this, like I said, this is an initial rush, and you won't see this type of, you know, chaos associated with dispensaries going on in the years to come. It will become more like alcohol, will become more normalized. These things just take time, and it is still in its infancy. Yeah. Is there another question on that? Sure.
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
I know things will level out,
Mm-hmm.
but during the period of time where it's taking time to level out.
Correct.
I think parking will be a problem.
Okay.
I own the building right next door.
Gotcha. Which one, just to be specific? So I'm
The
clear.
red and white apartment
Oh,
house.
gotcha. Okay, got it.
It's close, it's very tight, very,
Mhm.
very tight there. You know, I think people will park along the street, that's gonna get crowded because,
Yeah.
based on what's happening at Theory,
Yeah.
there will be more than 22 cars at any given time that want to, you know, go there and wait in line.
Sure.
And there will be other businesses who are also trying to do business, and they're gonna have
Mm-hmm.
people. So, I think when I spoke to Paul quite a while ago, he said each business will have a certain amount of spaces. So you're getting 22 out of the how many spaces?
No, the 22 is the total in the
Right,
parking lot.
But some businesses will have some spaces
Correct,
assigned
correct.
to them.
And also I've been in discussion with Paul as far as flexible parking, kind of corresponding in kind of opposition to the restaurant hours. So
Uh-huh.
that way I can, you know, kind of make sure that my hours of operation will, at least, especially during initial operation, can coincide with lull or close times with the restaurant. So that way I can use the maximum of the parking lot that I can use.
Right.
And also, you know, in comparison to, you know, the 2 or 3 other projects that are going into the downtown area, we do have more parking than any of those other candidates. I can tell you that.
I know, but they're still while we're waiting for things to settle
Oh, absolutely.
out, for the first
Yeah.
couple of years, I think it's gonna be wild. And
Yeah.
I believe the cars are gonna be parked all up and down the street.
That's what my concern is, we live right on Rossiter Street.
Mhm.
Right.
We don't have a dedicated driveway, so to say, so
So as
I'm
far as
tr-
that goes, I mean, I think we would absolutely be willing to put up signs along the street as long as the town permits it, saying that absolutely nowhere on the street are
Yeah, I think
patrons
Maggie,
allowed to park.
Maggie might actually be best to comment on this because she lives on she
I
lives
live
at
on
30
Reed
Reed
Street, and
so,
someone's
yeah.
trying to open at the end of my street, so I get your, I totally
Yeah, it's a
understand your
concern
concern,
now
cause I
that
can
we
see
have,
the
like,
parking lot
other
from my house, absolutely.
businesses, we
Oh,
have,
yes.
Mulberry
Yes.
is up the street, you know, there's
Absolutely,
something that-
and
so
and I
now
can.
we're already struggling to park in front of our
Certainly.
house, so
Of
I can
course.
just,
And I
you
can
know.
already say, as far as I know, Elm Street, like where that crossover is,
Mhm.
it's terrible. It is poorly paved. It is,
Right.
if you've got one car parking there for the yoga studio, it blocks everything up and you can't pass through, so I totally get that. So, I am absolutely 100% willing, and I think everybody here would be in agreement that if the town is permitting, we would put signs up and we would pay for towing and things like that to prevent such issues, because that was a big reason why I didn't want to open a store on Railroad Street. That was also why I looked at the one on Reed Street for potential for us, decided not really good option. There really isn't enough parking there. One bagel shop is a problem on the other side because they get deliveries all the time and shipments. They block up one side of the street. A lot of elderly people. It's not really a super awesome option. Plus, that part of Route 7, people are gonna get hit by cars. It's happened before, time and time again. So that wasn't really a fabulous option. This seemed like a better option, mainly because, one, it's not on necessarily a one-way street like Railroad Street is, where you've got people blocking and you have people parking at 8 a.m. waiting to go and get into the dispensary. They are going to have their car sitting there how many hours a day, and then they get ticketed. Well, that's great, but their car's still sitting there and it's not really doing anything to help anybody. So I think that we'd definitely be willing to do something like
Absolutely,
Car
and there
Hardware
are,
has.
and I mean, there's further measures that we can take temporarily too. Absolutely, we will have, if it's, if we find the need prior to opening or even after opening, that we need dedicated parking attendants or either people to actively monitor the street to not even let people live park. We're happy to do that.
Is there a way you can get with Paul, since he owns the lot?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it would be nice if, and I really don't know how that's gonna work out with business or whatever, but
Okay.
if they could turn that lot into a parking area, that would compensate.
And
for
have
a
like
lot.
a designated spot for the people.
Right, for
Definitely,
for
we
the
could talk to
business
him
down the
about that
street.
if that's what he's doing,
Or,
for sure.
Yeah.
Or whoever.
Well, because I'll tell you,
If there was a-
you guys
'Cause that
live
would
right there.
be
You've probably met Paul enough. He's
A really
he's
good
a
option for that.
he's a guy. If you
Absolutely.
suggest something to him and he wants to make it happen, he'll find a way to make it happen. And that's something that we'd definitely be happy to discuss. with him.
Absolutely.
Um,
Especially because, like I said, that street, I mean, it needs to be repaved to begin with, and the parking's terrible. What do you guys really do in the winter when they plow and stuff? There's really nowhere for you to go, so I think that really would be a good option, and that's definitely something that we would talk to him about for sure.
Yeah, and that's something that, like I said, it's our timetable is something that is
Parking's awful
is in our
this
favor
town.
as far as that's
I totally
concerned. We have
am full agreement with that.
we have plenty of time to speak with Paul, and also as his project is drawing to a close, he may be able to actually dedicate some focus and some energy on making that happen for us, because that is coming together now.
And I think Paul really does like being in the community and doesn't really want to detract from the community, it seems
Absolutely.
like.
Yeah.
So I think if his building is going to hurt the area where he's putting it, I think he'd be more than willing to try and compensate in some way. I would think, anyways.
Yeah,
We'll definitely talk to him about that.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So just
Oh, definitely.
continuing on, and then just a couple other things. I think I mentioned our signage, and that we will be making it fitting with the aesthetic. We're gonna make everything blend. We don't want to stick out and be a sore thumb. And then also, a big thing for us, we want to educate our staff and everybody that will be, working in the dispensary to, pass on to our customers and our clients that, we need to, consume cannabis responsibly in Great Barrington. We don't need our customers in the parking lot smoking up. We don't need them walking around in public, just like, we don't permit public drinking. And that's something that is strictly an issue of, first, employee education, and then that reinforcement of the customer just when they come in every single time, just making that part of the experience, because I think that will realistically make it a lot easier day to day having something like this initially, and then just becoming a part of everyday life, because just that conscious kind of consumption, because it's not something that should be disregarded. With the recreationalization, it's everybody kind of sometimes dismisses it as a big party, but at the same time we still need to be conscious about its application and usage. So we want to make sure our employees always convey that. Yes.
And so I'm here advocating for my tenants in the house next
Absolutely.
door. And I just have a list of questions I have to ask.
Oh,
Absolutely.
please, that's why we're here, you're good.
It's my job. So I understand that the door is gonna be on the side of Prairie Whale, but
Mhm.
you've got the back of the building, or the back of your unit that will face the parking area.
Correct.
So I know that, no, I don't know. I'm imagining from Main Street
Mm-hmm,
and Rossiter Street,
mm-hmm.
Prairie Whale, right? So people will drive in this way, park in this area
Correct.
here. I don't think they're driving in this way, right?
No, they won't be driving in and parking, in front of our actual shop, like facing the Prairie Well. They'll be parking in the parking lot opposite our main entrance.
Which is, I think, going to be
Actually,
directly in the front and I go back.
I can go, yeah, like this right here.
Oops.
We're good.
Oh.
We're good.
Dun, dun,
No,
dun.
we're good. This right here is the entrance facing the Prairie Well, and then the parking lot will be in this area over here. And then there's walkways that lead around the building. You can see some from that picture there. Those are just the rough walkways at this point.
Okay, so
but-
they're gonna park on the lower side of the diagram
Correct.
and walk around to the front. So
Correct.
one question would be lighting. So
Mhm.
in the winter, when it gets dark early,
Yep.
they'll be lighting onto the parking lot for your customer safety.
Correct.
I would just add, well, I don't know if you have any control over the lighting.
Well, that's the thing
wanna
I said.
make sure
Paul,
that it's-
Paul has been willing to work with us as far
Yeah.
as our specific security needs. So if there is a need to add additional lighting on the property, we
Or,
can certainly do so.
or have the lights be shut off when we're done in our parking area, if that's what you're curious about, so they're
Right,
not
right.
disrupting.
I don't know how long a business such as yours would wanna keep lights on after you are closed for security purposes.
Right, we wouldn't. Really?
Well, no,
maybe
probably
not.
for a scope of, I'd say,
I mean, a couple hours maybe,
You
but
might.
not much, I would
Right.
say.
So if
But
you do,
cameras also have.
if, my concern, again, just to protect,
Right.
my tenants, your neighbors, would be that the lights shine sufficiently down. I know from other experiences that people get really excited about putting the LED lights,
Mhm.
but they can be very bright.
I have absolutely no desire to take away from the area we live in. I really enjoy what it is.
Sure.
I hate, if you want my God honest opinion, I hate the way downtown Great Barrington looks. I think the giant streetlights look terrible. That is absolutely not the look I want to go for at all. I'm not into the industrial,
Okay.
I want low profile.
Yeah, the
This
point
is up to Paul,
yeah.
This is,
regardless.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
The shop
I
would
think
be
these
lit on
questions-
And I
the
think
interior
Paul
for
would go to
security,
Paul.
but Paul's the one that's gonna control the outside lighting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, alright, so maybe
but
this
these are all
is
things
but
that we can
that
talk
is
to
a
them about.
concern, that if they're gonna
Yes,
do
Ed.
lights, that they be shining.
Yeah, one of the requirements they'll have is site plan review in front of the planning board, and they'll insist the light not leave the property.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
they're good about that.
great, all happy, I'm just doing my job here.
No,
Oh,
absolutely.
That's the purpose of the meeting, keep it
Right.
focused.
And the other thing is,
Sure.
I think you were indicating that people would walk around to the left of this, on this diagram?
There will be
To the
both,
back?
there will be walkways both to the rear, of the building and to the front, so you could realistically walk 360 degrees around the building.
Uh-huh,
And there's other shops going in, not just this, we're not the only person in the building, so
Sure.
there's gonna be a lot of people for
Sure,
different
Especially
things
at the
there.
restaurant, yeah.
In the restaurant
yeah,
going in, there'll be a lot of, not everyone's just gonna come for us.
right, right. Okay, so,
We'd like to think they are, but.
Anything else?
trying to put
Hey,
my-
you keep
I'm
asking away, I'll
just
keep answering.
trying to put my head in, myself into the head of somebody living there.
Of a tenant, that's you, yeah.
I probably okay, if I think of something else, I'll speak up.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
You let me know. All right. I think we covered pretty much everything on the page I'm looking at. All right, so just a little bit. This is kind of just some nuts and bolts stuff about our security plan. We have engaged several security contractors who are pretty much their expertise is cannabis security, as far as kind of end-to-end servicing, as far as security systems, panic alarms, that type of thing. And we have a pretty good idea of what we'll need, the type of system we need to have. A couple of the highlights that I wanted to point out. We will have a man-trap style entrance, so that will alleviate a lot of the concerns.
A what?
Man trap. So it allows, it has it has two doors. Technically, one can't be opened until the other is closed. So that way you would prevent any, type, quote unquote, just grab and run type of scenarios.
Does it work as well with women?
I don't know. You guys are definitely the more powerful sex, so.
Good answer.
Anyways, continuing on, we will have extensive limited access areas, probably totaling almost half the square footage of the unit, realistically for adequate secure storage of our product and also of any assets we have on site. And then from there, we will have redundant security systems. The state requires not one but two alarms in-house, so we will have two separate companies maintaining two separate alarm systems in the event that one or the other should go down. We also have a comprehensive video surveillance system of both the inside and outside of the building, of the parking lot, and in any adjacent areas that our customers could move to before or after purchase, especially on our property. That's one thing that, like we just talked about a lot, we want to have a very vigilant eye as far as what's going on in the immediate vicinity and also in the downtown area. We've been members of the community for a while. It's not like we're gonna bury our head in the sand. We like to be in the know. We like to know if there's some 25-year-old guy that walks in every morning and maxes out his capacity and all of a sudden there's an issue at a high school. We want to know that. We want to be able to be in the know enough to be able to alert the educational authorities, to law enforcement authorities, to put a stop to anything like that will rise, because you would be naive to think that no one will attempt to do something like that, because that is definitely in the wheelhouse I think of someone to do. So we want to be prepared for anything like that could happen.
I'm just sitting here.
Sure. Absolutely. I see it. You're good.
Are there any statistics on safety issues with other cannabis businesses, either as it's early in our own state,
Sure.
but in some of the other states, with neighborhood issues?
Depending on, realistically, it's more of a kind of assessment on the total, crime rates and stuff in a neighborhood in general. It's more, that general rate is pretty indicative of the rate that will continue.
I think our neighborhood has zero security problems.
And I do too. I mean, like I said, we own the Shire Glass 87 Railroad. I have my
Were
own
you
tricycle.
across the street for a while in
Yeah, right across in the road building, right by
Magadini's property?
Yes, we're right by Helmlany and the dry cleaner before they moved down to Demolino's building. But yeah, so I fully appreciate that, and that's why I think most
That would be
research.
important to note, that right now there's like zero
Yeah,
stuff
there's really-
happening
we
on
don't have-
West Street.
That
So-
is also was one of my big concerns for the one that's going in on Reed Street.
Yeah.
Same thing, because I live in a neighborhood where half the time I walk out the house and I don't even lock my door.
Right, very safe.
Because
I
it's
would
like,
still,
who's gonna
yeah.
walk in my house? I live in a nice neighborhood.
Right.
So that was one of my big concerns, and that's why we want to have a very vigilant eye on what's going on around our area and in the parking lots of surrounding, so that we can monitor really what's going on, because we don't want, stuff like
So
that
this would
happen.
be part of the education of your security staff person who's outside, kind of taking a look at.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, it's
Parking,
For sure.
be looking for
Yep.
people who might be drifting off and,
Yeah.
Oh,
into-
absolutely.
yeah. And to be
large
honest,
spaces.
it's not just for the person at the door. It's got to be a top-down effort from everybody that
Yeah.
works in the
Okay.
shop, because, like I said, because it's just once you hear something enough times, it's like a customer will get annoyed after he hears me say the same thing 30 times, but he'll remember it. He or she will remember it and always carry that with him, and at that point it's it's to the social benefit, I think, to really instill those
And there
values
hasn't been
from
a
the-
sudden escalation since theory came in.
I'm sorry.
And there hasn't been a sudden escalation in crime since theory came in.
No, I don't believe there's been any statistics.
In all fairness, theory is outside of really the
That's in a more
community area.
industrial,
That's in the
commercial
industrial
zone in
side of
town
town,
anyway, yeah.
more or less.
Yeah.
Where we're trying to go, and really anyone directly in the center of town, it would be conflicting with a neighborhood realistically.
Yeah, you have people living right there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's something that, realistically, no matter what we do in Barrington at this point, in the downtown block, we have to be conscious of.
Yeah.
Because whether it be a big real estate project or, the co-op or whatever it may be, we're operating on limited space and we have to be conscious of how we're using it. And we have a beautiful, delicate community. We have to maintain that.
That's why we're so excited about this space also, because we can start from the ground up and ensure the security systems and be in line with all the regulations.
That's really why we were picky about, our space in general, because, we didn't want to go in and just, torture some old building just for the sake of torturing it.
And this is a
and
very
Paul's building.
small space, like you said, we're not goal looking to get rich in a quick time. It's a small space just to service this community.
Because that's something that a lot of people, because we own the smoke shop, and we go day to day in there. We talk to a lot of customers, and they really haven't kind of dove into recreational cannabis in Massachusetts yet, especially as far as the local community is concerned.
A lot of people are deferred
Still
by
seems,
theory.
it still seems a little distant, and that's what we really want to do is we want to bring it in and make it more familiar and make it at the same time with making it more familiar and doing it from that closely held standpoint. We hope that we can go about it in a lot more thoughtful way, and be a lot more responsive to the wills of the community, because these there's many organizations in the state that are doing business in cannabis that they're pretty large expensive corporations. Owners aren't necessarily there every day. This is going to be an owner operated business from day one till
Right.
when hopefully we pass it on to someone else
Yeah.
in our family, maybe my niece or my nephew or
Right.
something like
But
that.
I do think it would be worth looking at whatever the stats may be
Mhm.
in some other states. Colorado, I'm sure, has got communities with the same thing happening. what's
California,
happening there.
Colorado, Washington, Oregon.
But just take a look at
Absolutely.
the numbers, because that would maybe help inform.
Well, I think for me is because you're already embedded in the community,
Mhm.
you're a local, you know what that means.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, we know where you live, and that sort of thing. And
Do
it,
go
but
to the town
but at
meetings
the
and go.
at the same time, you're already a business owner,
Mm.
and that sort of thing. There's connection, whereas I'm faced with a situation in my neighborhood where there isn't that connection.
Yeah, you're gonna have some corporation coming in
It
and
is
they
a
don't care about
corporation,
your
yeah,
neighborhood.
it's a
and-
Fortune
Right.
five
And we
hundred
do
investors
care
and that
about
sort of thing.
this.
Yeah, that's kind
And
of
as a matter of fact, I've said this isn't, like, a local person says, hey, everybody, guys, this is what I'm thinking of doing.
Mm.
I, whether it's this type of business, or you could be opening a construction business,
Right.
and the neighbors would go, okay, I know your mom and dad, make sure you're
Yeah.
doing,
yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and that
Of
sort of
course.
thing. And it's really funny to hear you talk, because I've gone to meetings with the Reed Street, the one going in on Reed
Yep.
Street, and it's almost like you can go both sides,
Sure.
and that sort of thing with some your personal understanding
Yeah.
of what's going on. And like I said, I get it, not locking your door, and you're going, now
Yeah.
I better start locking my
Yeah, and it-
door.
And that's why I want to be
Aware.
very considerate about what I'm doing to the neighborhood, basically. Because I have essentially the same thing potentially happening in my neighborhood, and
Right.
I don't want to see my neighborhood get hurt, because my mom is disabled. She rides around on her scooter. God forbid, I come home and my mom's on the ground because she got hit by a car and
Mhm.
they were trying to go get pot. Like, that's my worst nightmare. And that's what I want, and I would hope that they are trying to prevent, and which is what I would like to prevent in any possible way that I can.
Mhm.
Because one, traffic in this town is insane. Parking is insane. I think the best thing that we could ever really have is a crossing guard, helping people
In the
cross
old
the
days,
street.
they did. They
I
had
mean,
police
it's
directing traffic in the old days, and people
Absolutely.
crossing.
And
And that
honestly,
will
I
be-
think that really would help. And if that's what we needed to do in front of the business to help with that, to prevent things like that,
Especially
I would want.
initially.
Yeah, I would want to
It's
do
just,
that.
Rossiter Street traditionally
It's a
has
quiet
been,
street.
it's, my dad used to work for Magadini,
Yeah.
and it's just like, that was years ago, and you could have a traffic jam
Right.
on there,
Oh,
and
yeah,
I'm
with all-
going,
yeah, with all the
I
rail
don't
yards up
know.
there, yeah.
It has nothing to do with it, it's the
Yeah.
traffic.
Yep.
It can get,
And that also has a lot to do with the lack of parking. When you've got cars parking down both sides and only one
Yeah.
car can go at
Yeah.
a time, that'll do that.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
Well,
I-
one side is illegal to park on.
Yeah.
yes, well,
Yeah.
and it's also
Remember,
illegal to
I'm from
double
Woonsontine,
park
it
on
gets
roads.
wild
So
up there,
people
you know.
don't
I've
do
never
that.
parked on that wrong side.
Never.
Well, you're special. You're special.
But no, yes, no, that's something, and that's why I was so happy to, lead this project up for Maggie and Lizzie, because it's, it is coming from the heart.
And there will be a limit of how many
Yeah, there's
people
gonna be
that can
thought to
come
it.
in, so,
That is
Yeah,
my,
at
that's
the time, I mean,
The limit is, you still have, I mean, and
you still have,
you're still
Yeah, the
gonna
vibe's
have
still
the
gonna be
line.
outside.
But as far as that goes, having things prepackaged and just ready to go and not having to go through the process of being like, okay, so well, I want an eighth of this and I want an eighth of this and an eighth of this, and having your bud tender essentially sit there and weigh you out an eighth every
Okay.
single time, that takes a lot of time. But if you've got, 7 different sample jars on a table and they can smell each one and they can say, well, I like this one and I like this one and I want a little of this and a little of this, the bud tender can go in the back, grab the package, check them out, and they're out the door. That, minimizes your time and the time in the process almost in half, I would say, by not having to do the whole weighing it out in-person process, which is not something that is mandatory you do in front of the customer.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of ways to streamline it. Like I said, I think Theory has definitely, it's been awesome that we've had it in the town meeting. It's kind of been an iconic thing for us, I think. But at the same time, I think it's definitely given us a little bit of a jaded kind of image of what it can be and what it will be.
They are craft cannabis, 100%.
Well, and also,
They love-
they are,
that's what they are.
They were one of the pilot dispensaries that opened up recreationally. They have gone through every growing pain imaginable, as far as that goes. And I hope to, as we develop our plan in the coming months and submit to the state, that, we can look at, their shortcomings and where they've kind of adapted.
but here's an example, like we're talking about parking and traffic, we keep
Sure.
bringing up Theory. They weren't supposed to park in Price Chopper parking lot. Price Chopper had it posted.
Yep.
And you couldn't find parking on weekends there, and that's why that big fence went up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I went to Theory's outreach. Oh, there's not gonna be a problem, we're gonna,
Oh,
I
I'm
also-
not
and
that it's gonna
everything.
be a problem.
so,
because-
Yeah.
absolutely.
like,
We
we
know
talk
it's
about
gonna be
growing pains the community has
Oh,
gone
yeah.
through, and it's going to be going through more.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. And so I think it's beneficial to have this, with the questions asked and everything
yeah.
like that, because I think the community's learning to know what questions to ask.
And also what you're getting into.
Exactly.
Realistically what you're getting into.
And-
Yeah, and and like I said, as far as any measures that we need to take, like we are willing to take.
Well, and again,
You know.
Main Street's very trendy anyhow, and then you have the shops on the outskirts.
Of course.
You're right there.
Yeah.
It's just, you're gonna be on display,
Yep.
all the time.
Absolutely.
So it may even be amplified for you, maybe unfairly so, just because you're right there.
Sure.
Meaning like, there's a little bit of a traffic jam there, may not have anything to do with you,
Right.
Mhm.
may have to do, but.
right, so it's gonna be
and-
focused, cause there's already a traffic jam.
Yeah.
Well, there is, yeah,
Well, I mean,
Salisbury, like
realistically,
on,
traffic
you
jam, it
go to
starts at the
Salisbury
firehouse
Bank
and
and
goes
it's
through,
like,
Yeah. Well, realistically, it starts at the Brown Bridge and at Domaney's. And
yeah, it's.
Or even farther back.
Well,
Even farther back.
Yeah.
But you're talking,
Yeah.
opening down the line though, and so.
Well, like I said, the realistic timetable for these, with the backlog of
Okay.
applications is looking more like a year.
A year?
By the time it's
Okay.
all filed and pushed through, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Matt and I actually went to a conference not that long ago, and someone from the state was speaking, and they had said that I believe they're only approving 4 to 6 applications a month.
Well, because the CCC is held to public meeting standards and they have to approve everything. for
Well, they
public
had
meeting.
one yesterday.
So they can only
Yeah,
go
yeah.
through so many applications a meeting.
I was surprised how many they were going through, cause I got the.
Well, they're
agenda
trying to
yesterday.
really.
They're
because
trying to
Yeah,
there's
that's
such
what
a-
makes me nervous though.
Yeah.
I plan to attend one of their public meetings, as
Yeah,
a matter
So
of
soon,
fact.
so soon.
But I was on the phone with the CCC this morning, and I was looking at their agenda, and I was amazed how many they were going through.
Yeah.
And that actually sets it's
Right.
kind of raises
Yeah.
a red flag for me.
I remember
that
what's
the-
nice too, and what I mean has been comforting. I think for Maggie when she found out there was one going to be going into her neighborhood was that the town has,
As a say.
realistically has final yay or nay on the whole project. They go through with the state,
Mhm.
at the project's completion and make sure that everything is going to be, in jiving with what the town thought they were going to get into in the first place. That's something that we want to, really make sure that we're doing from the beginning. Is like, we're working with people like you, abutters and tenants, and making sure that, life is not going to be inconvenienced for you. Because that's the last thing we want.
Because
Yeah.
especially, we
Yes.
own a,
Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna ask you specifically, where are you in the permitting and licensing
this
phases?
is the first
Well,
step.
right now, how the licensure works, you initiate contact with the town. I submitted a draft of our application to the town, and then I met with the town manager, informed her of my intention to hold a host community meeting. We then issued notice for the meeting. We're holding the meeting tonight. We then fill out an attestation form that verifies we held the meeting tonight, and then that gets assembled into the town application package, along with the host community agreement that we will execute with the select board at a later date after we've held this meeting. And then once that's all packaged up and executed and the town is happy with all those documents, we are then given the sign off by the town to apply for our initial application to the state.
Okay.
What about the lease with Paul?
The lease with Paul, we have a promised lease with Paul currently, and once the project is completed, we will begin leasing the space out. We may have to carry the property for several months before we can begin outfitting, but that's something we've planned for.
So you're sort of committing to that, even though you don't have you're
Well,
gonna have to stay.
that's how the process works. Realistically, you have to find real estate and go before the town and request and make sure that that real estate is going to be okay before the state will even consider it. Yeah.
Physical address.
Yes. Anything else? Okay, so just a little bit more on our security plan. Like I said, we're going to have a redundant security system, comprehensive video surveillance system of all of our, not only our storefront, but also of our limited access areas and security areas. There'll also be a panic alarm located at every checkout stand, and probably one in the back area, a couple in the back service area as well. Should the need arise ever for a panic alarm, that will be connected directly to local law enforcement.
What kind of panic are we talking about?
Like
The state requires it. The type,
Like a
because
bank
the
teller?
state has been pretty
Oh,
Yeah.
like that,
That's,
okay.
yeah, it was a
You know, like if
banking,
someone
yeah.
comes in
Security.
and just like
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
bank,
Not someone having a panic attack
No.
while.
No.
And have you already discussed this with local police? Have you
Um,
already?
I have not had a specific discussion with them as far as what we're going to need precisely, but they are aware that we're planning on coming in, and everybody's been made aware. So in the coming months, I'm going to develop a detailed plan with them, because realistically, they're kind of a pivotal part of going forward, and
I'd be
realistically,
curious
strategy.
what they would have to say about, the parking situation, people crossing Main Street, like all that whole configuration.
Well, realistically, we're not. There would be no crossing Main Street from our parking lot to.
Just people on
to the
foot.
unit.
Long
Certainly.
crossing, probably.
Foot
I'm-
traffic.
Foot
cer-
traffic, rather.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I mean, if there's just foot
So
traffic
that
in general.
crosswalk is already used quite a bit to begin with,
Yeah.
due to Prairie Well being right there. Yes,
And it is a yield and stop crosswalk.
I
right, as
do.
well.
All of the crosswalks in town are yield and stop.
Yes.
Does anyone actually yield and stop?
Yes.
I
I know. There are obviously a
I
handful
do.
of I yield and stop as well, but
That's usually when I get
for
kinda
the
angry
amount
at
of
people.
people I see who blow through the yield and stop crosswalks, I mean, there's really about this many people who actually stop.
Well, I think the town people do. I think it's
Yeah,
the,
if you
it's
live
the out
here-
of town
Yeah,
people
if
that
I
we
was
have
on
issue
you-
with.
Which is a lot
Yeah.
of
Which
what
is
Great Barrington is.
our
In the
concern.
summertime, it is not so much local people. It is a lot of
Yeah.
out of town people. And as we've seen with Theory and probably with the other dispensaries up in Pittsfield, it's probably a majority of out of town cars going to buy recreational
Right.
marijuana,
Absolutely.
because a lot of people in the state of Massachusetts either have a medical card or you can legally grow your own, and you do that.
And to be honest, that's really the market that we're trying to tap. This is, we're well aware of that there are other businesses coming into town trying to do essentially the same thing we are. As with any business venture, we want to have, our unique spin, our unique market niche, and that's really what we're going for. We are trying to appeal to the local community. We want to bring in those locals that, you know, necessarily wouldn't walk into, you know, a dispensary because it just may not be what they're looking for. You know, and as the industry matures and mature in other states, and we see, you know, kind of the spectrum of things pop up, you know, just like liquor stores, just like, you know, clothing retail, just like gift shops, you know, you have a whole spectrum of things that appeal to different people. And we really want to be that, you know, local place that you can come to and that you always know what you get, know what to expect. And, you know, realistically can, you know, and like I said, we really want to make it as reasonably priced as we can. You know, it's a big concern, you know, with everybody, is the current market price. That's something that is just going to, you know, change and fluctuate, but we hope as it goes forward and as the market matures and there's a lot of products out there that, you know, not being brand specific or, you know, a real craft dispensary, that we can go out and really hunt, as good retailers do, hunt for the, you know, the best products for our customers. You know.
Could you explain something? What's the difference between a craft and I don't
just
know.
Like a craft beer or Budweiser.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Because
like
say
Budweiser, or
philosophy
then
is
you
just
have
the
like a
product's
little
different.
craft
A
Okay.
brand that will
Small
manufacture,
amount.
process, and sell its own brand.
So all right. So you would be the Budweiser.
No, we
Are you?
no,
So Theory has a license to grow. They also
Yeah.
have a license to manufacture.
Right.
We are not applying for a license to grow or manufacture. So to say that we're craft would be wrong because we're not.
So you're bringing your products.
We want to
Yeah, we're
outsource.
being
We
a
want
true-
to find
we're
the
being a
best
true
of
retail.
everything.
True retail. Yeah.
True
Yeah.
retail. We want to go out
Yeah.
to that
I
distribution
wanna have
network in the
options.
state
Yeah.
and bring it all,
I
you know, the
want it
best
to be
of what
like
we
a
can find
grocery
to
store.
you.
You walk in, here's here's your cheaper option, and here's your more expensive
Okay.
option. Here's your caviar, and here's your tuna fish. I don't know. I don't know.
And we want to keep it charming and in line with the town. And hopefully, although the foot traffic is a concern, we're also excited because that'll bring more people into the local shops for the town instead of just being on the outskirts, and then people are rushing into the town going and leaving.
Well, I live on Division
So-
Street,
Yeah.
and it's a freeway up there now.
Yeah.
New York cars.
Yeah.
That's a shortcut.
It's a
and
nightmare.
which is another thing when Theory Wellness said there wouldn't be any traffic issue, and
Well,
somebody on
they
Division
considered
Street
right in front
would
of that.
would never know that
say-
it's been a huge uptick on Division Street and the speed.
Because nobody would
Yeah.
consider that Route 22 is a big,
There you go. Yeah.
but
But
It
in
is.
actuality, it's the main theory.
You know, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's New York.
it's awful. And that would be because Theory is open much later on
Yeah.
those days.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
So
And you don't get behind a school bus either.
that's true.
True.
And also, you know, people get out of work and they can
Yeah.
go and sit in line for 3
Yeah.
hours, which is that
Is
is
it still like that?
yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that is really something that you know, and that has a lot to do. Theory packages on site, like I was saying before, where they weigh it all out for you. That takes a lot of time. Having it prepackaged and having somebody just be able to get what they want and move out the door,
Mhm.
you're not going to have a line. Also, not having you're going to have a small line, but your line's not going to be standing there for 3 hours. Like, oh my God.
In the long term,
Because
you're
you're not
not
going to service
anticipating the
each
same thing
customer
at Theory.
for
No,
Right.
all
no,
of this
no,
amount of
I
time.
really don't.
Yeah.
Because I think in the course of the 12 months until we get open, because there are people in town who
It
are,
will start.
who are far along than we are, I truly don't think in 12 months you're going to see the type of volumes you see currently. I'm not saying there's going to be nothing. I'm not saying there's, you know, it's going to be completely streamlined and it's going to be like nothing ever happened. But I do feel that, you know, in 12 months' time, we will see a drastic reduction.
And
in
it'll
that
be
type
spread
of
out
volume.
more
It'll be, yeah,
in more
exactly. It'll be
communities,
just be more
different
diffuse
places,
as
because
more
there's so many
places
that are going to pop up.
Like I said, there is some comfort because you're already business owners in Great Barrington, so you have a feel.
Which is also another thing that we thought about. We do, as far as Railroad Street goes, where our business is, we have the most amount of parking, I would say.
We have 3 off-street parking
We've got-
spots, that's it, yeah.
Yeah,
That's the most you get.
we've got 3 off-street parking spots, and you can park all in front of our store and around the building. So we
Well,
do have quite
And, you know,
a
and
few
that's the
good-
thing too, like, you know, we had so many people ask us, like, well, why aren't you just gonna apply for this space? Because to shove a dispensary into that space would have been even more of a
That would've
nightmare
been-
and
yeah.
twice as complicated than what I was
And-
thinking of putting presently, to be honest,
And to
in my
me,
opinion.
the one that's going in, that is supposedly going in on Railroad Street currently into the old bakery, to me, you're going to hurt other people's businesses. There's people who've owned businesses on Railroad Street longer than I have even been alive. And I have no desire to put somebody out of business and make it so that I'm taking their parking and people don't want to go into the, up to the Vault Gallery or go into SoCo or go into any of the any Snap Shop or anything over there. I mean, there's lots of businesses that have been there longer than our business has been open and I've been alive, like I said, and I have no desire to hurt anyone in the process.
Earlier you mentioned you're gonna have a limit on the number of people in store at any one time.
Well, that is going to have to be obvious because of the fact, that's mandated fire.
One by fire code, and then also as we
Do you know
develop.
how many that is?
We don't know exactly, due to we haven't gotten a final fitting on the whole space yet. Once we have all the walls and stuff up, we will be better to know how many.
Depends
It's
on the
based on our
square
security
footage of
contract
retail
is,
and.
So
whatever.
the space is 1,000 feet.
Yes.
But you may only have retail space of, say, 600 feet.
I would say approximately 500 to 600.
5 to 6, yes.
Right, and the rest is storage.
Storage,
Correct.
yes.
So then it would be based on the retail space.
Yep.
Correct. Oh yeah, no, and that's the thing. Like I said, engaging the people that we've been talking to. At our conference, we spoke with several different contractors, and that's one thing. They help us through the process to figure out just how many people we can have in that store and not lose track of people, not effectively move people through the store where there's not a security concern or an outright hazard or anything like that. And at the same time.
So if we use 500 as a ballpark, just
Yeah,
estimate.
yeah, absolutely. I mean,
how
that's.
many people would that be? I'm just curious.
Oh, I would say you probably wouldn't have more than.
We're not sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
we couldn't even speculate
You
on
know, the
that.
state-
It'll
Absolutely,
be
but I mean, I
mandated.
can't see it being
10,
more than a
50?
couple dozen people.
Oh,
Oh, I can't imagine.
Yeah,
it being
I can't imagine you have 50 people in
is
the 500.
quite- yeah.
just curious.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
no,
absolutely.
I would think that 50 would be quite a lot.
And to be
There'll
honest,
be
it's
a
something.
maximum
If
capacity.
the state put a
It'll
cap
be
like that on it,
mandated.
to be honest, I would probably not even permit that many people in my
50
store
would
hour
be
because
too
I
much
would
for
be
us. I couldn't do that.
insecure about operating with that many people in the store.
couple dozen.
Yeah, yeah.
So, hi.
Absolutely. Is that I saw you walking in. You're good.
So if they're not in the store, they would be standing outside.
They would be in line. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm one of the owners of Prairie Well.
Oh, gotcha. Nice to meet you.
So I'm really sorry I came in late, but I
Oh, no, you're
might
good.
have missed what you were talking about as far as parking.
Yes, well, parking, like I said earlier, we're going to have a specific allotment of spots from Paul in the parking lot that's going up on the other side of the building opposite
Okay,
to you
that
guys.
will be ready.
That will be ready prior to opening. Realistically, for our time scale, we're probably going to be paying rent in there for a couple months, where we're going to be able to do nothing, and the project's done in there for us to go.
Okay.
That's
This storefront is one of the ones that's facing our building?
correct. Yep, it's the rearmost.
And you have a little sign up that says pot shop coming
So I
soon.
thought
Is
Paul
that
Yeah,
has
that
that
actually, we
too.
didn't know. We got your letter after. That was kind of a joke. Just
Oh! We
Well,
were
'cause
It's
wondering.
free advertising.
Well, because
What
I
is
wasn't
that?
sure because is Mark your husband?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I know Mark, and I wasn't sure if he had put two together, just slapped it up or something else.
No, it was just a joke on the
Gotcha.
Oh, that's great.
So just a little staring.
We saw it and we're like, and he's like, well, Mark's my, I know Mark for a while, so.
Yeah.
They did make reference to some conversation.
Yeah, I thought Paul had mentioned that he had talked to you guys about potentially using
Sharing parking.
Sharing parking when he opened the other
So
parking.
I don't know. He comes in all the time.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
have had a conversation
Very-
with Mark
very
about
nice.
it. I haven't been made aware of it.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And those
This was
spots
just a conversation
along
in
that
passing for us
driveway
as
would
well.
obviously be the ones of most concern
Of most
because
concern.
they seem
No, at this
like
point,
the
I would,
obvious place to park for you guys,
Yeah,
for
we've
your
made
customers.
no plans to use any of that as temporary
Cars,
parking,
yeah.
as live parking, anything like that. And we will have a check-in or reception agent right there to make sure that people aren't, inadvertently.
So is that your plan, that someone actually will be responsible for your customers not using?
So like
driving
Car Hardware
parking?
has, essentially, I'll have a parking attendant that we pay who sits there.
Car hardware?
Yeah.
car
we do.
hardware.
Yeah, they do it on the
Oh
weekends.
yeah.
That?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
will tow your car
They
and
have
tell
a
you
guy
not to
there
park
now.
there.
Yep, he sits there in his little
Wow.
umbrella
All that-
chair.
I don't know whether it's just the weekend, whatever,
It's
but
just
I
on
No, it-
Saturdays, I
is
think.
it just
No,
on Saturday?
he
Because I
does
was
it,
questioned on there.
Anytime there's a holiday weekend,
Anytime they see the volume coming, they get
Yes.
they get them out
they
there.
have
But
it
that's
out
car
there.
hardware defending their own parking.
Yeah.
So that would be
Precisely.
equivalent to us hiring somebody.
But we would
Um,
pay for that
I mean, I'd be
because
happy
that's
to,
where our
you
parking.
know, to
Because we obviously don't wanna have to do that.
no,
Um,
no,
Right.
and I'd be
But
happy,
we would be
and we'd
willing
be
to.
happy to incur any
Okay.
costs
Yeah.
associated with keeping people out of there.
Okay.
And like I said, during, I mean, realistically, operation period until the regulations drastically change, you know, whenever that may be, there's always gonna be someone at the front of that building monitoring the entrance, and monitoring the entrance area.
And we'll tell them don't park there.
Well, then we will have signage on the front of the building that says there is no parking, you know. in
Right,
this
well,
area,
we
anything like
anticipate
that.
having to put signage up as well.
Yeah.
I just was wondering, like, obviously enforcing that is a whole other story.
Well,
Absolutely.
and since you came in late, as I did mention, any signage we will obviously cover costs for because you
costs,
should
yeah.
not have to pay for that.
Right.
That is something that we should have to pay for.
Absolutely.
Because we are going to potentially cause some kind of disruption to your business. So that's what
Yeah.
we want to avoid.
Yeah, and that's something realistically, whether it be, you know, the parking or something completely, you know, out of the blue that we haven't even thought of yet, either one of us, that's a
Right.
potential problem.
Yeah.
You know, that's something that, you know, you're gonna find one of us standing right there, you can walk over the door and we'll figure it out.
And I know constantly, because we own a business in town, I tow people from my business all the time. So
Well,
I
the
know.
off the street parking, yeah, it's
And
tough, yeah.
and we have people who park in our designated, like, this is my parking spot, I park in everyday parking spot, like there's apartments upstairs, you would think it's a residential space. But we tow people all the time, so I
Yeah,
get,
I mean, I'm just not
I get
relishing
that.
getting into that job.
No, realistically, and that's, and like
I
I
love
said,
it.
that's why, you know, we hope, we hope that you can just simply just defer to us.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
and that will remedy it as quickly as we
Yeah.
can. And then, beyond that, I think that if we have, you know, that, you know, we have that vigilance at the front of the entrance, it's a small enough area,
Yeah.
there that.
Yeah, that would be the main concern. I think the back part will kind of become, in a way, I mean, we can talk about it more,
Yeah.
but it may become more shared giant parking space.
Sure, yeah, however,
But
you know,
those
Mark and Paul.
spots, you know, are convenient for certain people, and it's just when we open at 5 o'clock, obviously, we would prefer that those spots be available
are
for.
are open for your customers
Yes.
at dinner service,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that's something too, you know, we have discussed if, you know, if necessary, you know, we're hoping to be able to hire literally all of our employees from town, so hopefully, you know, if the issue, of need arises, we can set up carpooling and stuff, so there's only 1 or 2 employee cars ending up, you know, even on premises during operation, stuff like that.
and we can also.
My next
park
business is
them
gonna be a
around.
golf cart rental
There you
business.
go.
Oh, we
Brilliant.
actually, you know what,
Uber and
we
Lyft would
actually,
be the best
Uber
thing.
and
we
Lyft.
should talk,
Would ever
actually,
happen.
I wanna do electric tricycles, but,
Oh, stop it with the tricycles, I love it.
well,
We got this next.
anyways, continuing on, so
I
just,
love
not
that.
to keep us all here all night,
He's gonna be
I
I know.
think, where did that one go?
Go over to ask security.
Alright, so, one of the big things, I think we've talked about a little bit is diversion, or the, you know, the illicit usage of Massachusetts cannabis by those under 21, or the usage of it out of state. You know, the state, takes a pretty big, is pretty concerned about this, as is, I think, more so local communities who border, neighboring states, you know. Barrington is close to, Connecticut and New York, and as we've seen with Theory, most of the cars you see in the parking lot are from those states. So it is definitely going to be up to us to take some steps to try to prevent that diversion to either underage users or improper usage out of state. So through thorough training of our employees, so that they can in turn educate our customers on the risks associated with diversion, such as providing cannabis to a minor, taking cannabis out of the state, violating, you know, any other state or federal law, or also trying to purchase more than the allowable maximum. That's a big one that we think is important, and also, you know, will be key to, you know, preventing diversion inside the local community. You know, making sure that, you know, we are very diligent with our internal, you know, point of sale systems and tracking that we can make sure that people are not exceeding their daily maximums from our dispensary. And in the future, if there's any type of cross-reference available, that we can do that from other dispensaries. We'll always keep up on that, because we believe that is definitely one of the, kind of the crucial things, because, if you can only buy so much, it's going to put, that stopgate on people just kind of milling in and out, or realistically, talking about things like hanging out, or, really becoming like a constant burden on the immediate area. So, in addition to that, we use our security protocols like we were talking about.